So, if you're into CSGO skins, you probably know about a guy called Ohne.
Wait, what? Holy shit, that's sick.
Ohne is someone who's done a fantastic job growing his social media presence over the past year. He's really capitalized on clips in a way that not many other creators in the space have. He's also been really successful in building a following on Twitch, and in many respects, he's quite a good role model for how to build a large following on social media.
That's dedication.
That's something Ohne did, but I want to talk about something Ohne didn't do. Ohne didn't scam someone for $20,000, but over the past 2 years, that's an accusation that's been brought up against him time and time again. So why are people saying that? Well, it's to do with a paracord blue gem Ohne purchase in early 2020. Now, fun fact, Ohne sold this paracord knife for a bit over $6,000. So why is this figure of $20,000 relevant to the situation? Well, the answer is pretty simple. It's not. The knife might have sold for $20,000 6 months to a year after Ohne sold it, but it wasn't worth $20,000 at the time. But hey, if you wanted to accuse someone of being a scammer, that's a pretty easy detail to brush over, right? I mean, no need to let that one get in the way of things. And I mean, the whole story behind the paracord knife is pretty complicated anyway. It involves multiple parties, and in Ohne's own words, he could have handled the situation better. And gee, if you were some dishonest who wanted to paint Ohne as the biggest scammer in CSGO history, well, it's pretty easy to take advantage of that, right? But none of it makes the Ohne scam someone for $20,000 line any more true. Even if you don't like what he did, the $20,000 thing is still a ridiculous lie. But to this day, it is being pushed by one particular individual simply to try and get clout by tearing down a larger figure in the scene. And that's the thing about trading. Clout is a resource. In fact, for a lot of traders, clout is essential to their entire career. If you have clout, people will trust you, and that trust is the key to getting business. But if you don't have any clout, or you've been, I don't know, destroyed by being caught scamming, exposing another big figure in the scene is a great way to try and get it. In this case, it didn't work. But what sort of culture is going to develop in a scene where clout is key to getting business done? What sort of environment is that going to create? Well, in this video, we're going to be having a look inside the cancerous world of CSGO skins trading. Now, this video is sponsored by Skinport, the easy-to-use skins marketplace where you can sell your skins for real cash. Skinport has a huge range of skins, over 220,000 of them at prices miles cheaper than the Steam market, up to 35% off. You can purchase skins in an instant, just pick what you want and straight up buy it. There is no need to deposit and there are no hidden fees. There's also a high definition screenshot feature built into the site itself so you can see exactly what you're getting before you buy. The site is also super highly rated on Trustpilot with a 4.9 out of 5-star rating. It is completely safe and reliable to use, so I highly recommend checking it out. Link is in the description. So, one of the really big features of skins trading over the last few years has been the rise of a site called Buff163, a Chinese service that's become the largest player in the market. But its dominance has come with a bit of a catch, because unless you're from mainland China, getting site balance on it can be hard because you can't directly deposit on it. Now, this led to the rise of a class of Chinese traders dedicated to providing foreigners with access to buff balance, and two of the biggest players in the space was a guy called Corrido and a guy called Noble. Now, being grown adults, these guys would recognize each other as competition, but also kept things civil and professional. I'm just kidding. They both tried to f***ing destroy each other. It's not quite clear how far back the feud goes or who started it, but what is clear is that both of them were literally accusing each other of criminal activity. Real mature boys, but hey, it's not like one of them would actually commit a crime to get back at the other one, right? Yeah, you can probably tell where this is going. So, the story begins with a guy called Luna. Now, Luna has passed away since all this stuff happened. According to the doctors, the cause of death was ratio, but at the time he was attempting to liquidate his CSGO skins, which, thanks to his investment genius, he just made negative hundreds of thousands of dollars on. And one of the people he was selling to was Noble. Luna had a bunch of site balance on buff left over, and Noble offered to buy some of it for $15,600. Now, Noble went first, he paid Luna in crypto, but then, apparently Luna's mobile authenticator app wasn't working, so he couldn't complete the transaction. Oh dear, also apparently tickets didn't work, so they couldn't do that either. Now, Luna offered to pay Noble back, once he finished a second trade he was doing, and that trade happened to be of Kirito for a 4x Titan Hollow Vulcan worth over $100,000. But rather than have Luna pay the crypto himself, Noble asked for Kirito to pay him directly to make the process simpler. Now, this is a brilliant idea. It speeds up the process, it cuts down on transaction fees, but it also relied on him being paid by someone who hated him. Gee, what could possibly go wrong? Well, fun fact, Luna agreed to the plan. He told Kirito what he needed to do, and then Kirito honored his part of the deal. And by honoring his part of the deal, I mean the part with Luna, because Noble did not see his crypto. On November 11, 2021, Noble would announce he was on the verge of being scammed by Kirito. The AK was still with the middleman, Mateo, but Kirito had never delivered his payment to Noble, allegedly claiming that Noble's address wasn't valid. And this was supported by Steam DMs, which appeared to show Noble telling Luna that Noble's account was frozen due to it being illegal, and speculating that Noble might be involved in some kind of fraud. Now, Kirito's initial response was just to say that Noble was a liar and refused to acknowledge the situation, but 6 days later, he changed tack and released a statement on the matter. Now, this response was not well received. Kirito had essentially denied the story was even real at first, but in the tweet longer, he basically confirmed Noble's version of events. And not only that, it seemed like he was really going out of his way to damage Noble. He repeated the Noble's address was locked for fraud excuse, but rather than providing any kind of evidence whatsoever, he instead began speculating on the possible illegal activities Noble could have engaged in, as if that had anything to do with it. There was no proof it was locked in the first place, so he only had Kirito's word to go off. And at that point, he just began rehashing his beef with Noble and falling back on this cringe "prove I didn't assassinate Kennedy" argument that no innocent person has ever used ever. It was an extremely weak defense, and most people who read it felt that not only had Kirito scammed Noble, but he was trying to do a bit of extra reputational damage to him on the way out. But there was still an obstacle he had to get past if he wanted to pull off the scam, because the AK was still with Mateo, and as a good middleman, Mateo was not going to release it unless Noble was paid, or so people thought. From the very beginning, Noble was running around claiming that behind the scenes, Kirito was pressuring Mateo to send him the skin without any evidence to back it up. Now, most people trusted Mateo to do the right thing. He's one of the biggest middlemen in the game, he does tons of deals, and people figured he'd sort this one out. But on the 14th of December, he traded away the AK without Noble being paid. So what had happened here? Why had Mateo traded the AK when Noble was still owed money? People were not impressed. Why would Mateo risk his reputation like that? Well, the thing is, he hadn't traded it to Kirito, he traded it to another Chinese collector because Kirito had sold it to someone else for $143,000. Now, Kirito decided to release another tweet longer to try and clear up what had happened, where he did a brilliant job making everybody think he was guilty as f***. He started off by giving people these random life updates that had nothing to do with the situation and nobody gave a shit about. It was like he was pretending he was too busy to deal with all this silly internet drama, and he then proceeded to explain that if Mateo hadn't traded the item, he would have faced criminal prosecution. Well, Kirito, that makes it sound an awful lot like you blackmailed him. Not a great look there, homie, and he then went on to challenge Noble to sue him. Most people reading this tweet longer got the impression this was an arrogant con artist boasting about what he'd gotten away with, and there was an immediate backlash. A lot of people started calling him out, and under pressure, Kirito decided to apologize. Not an apology to anyone though, no, it's just a general apology for nothing specific, and at that point he announced a giveaway of a 1K skin, because obviously this was going to make the whole situation go away. He even tagged in Zipple, one of the game's most legendary traders, into the giveaway to try and make it look more legit. Well, he tried to tag Zipple, he actually used the wrong Twitter handle. Nice one, bro, I'm sure he appreciates extra followers. The giveaway went about as well as you'd expect, with people clowning him in the comments, and not only that, he had to be called out for not delivering before he picked the winner. No, you don't understand, guys. He's really busy. He doesn't have a couple of minutes to roll a winner. But the cherry on top of all of this is when he tweeted out, "Why are people so fucking toxic now?" Yeah, I don't know, buddy. I think I'll let you figure that one out for yourself. At the end of the day, Noble was never paid. Kirito is now banned on CSGO rep, and his reputation is permanently tarnished, not that he's really active that much more anyway, and What's amazing about this whole situation is how both parties were so determined to destroy each other, they basically destroyed themselves. Kuroto destroyed his career simply to get revenge on Noble. That 16k would have been a pithy amount of money to him. It was just revenge, and his shameless clown act on Twitter throughout the entire saga really demonstrates just how deep that hatred ran. Meanwhile, Noble's multi-year effort to label Kuroto a criminal, which he kept up even during the drama, meant that many big community figures were reluctant to get involved, and rightfully so. If Noble had been telling lies about Kuroto for years, how could you be sure he was being entirely honest now? It's also worth noting that Luna does shoulder a lot of the blame for this situation. The prick deleted his tweets so we can't see them anymore, but basically he took no responsibility and dipped when he really should have gotten involved to try and fix it up. But at the end of the day, there's no getting past the fact that Kirito is a scammer, and while these two idiots self-destructing might be an extreme example, simply calling out other traders isn't. In fact, it's one of the basic ways the community polices itself, and we're gonna see that in the next part of the video. What's a fair price to pay someone for a skin in CSGO? I mean, make no mistake, there are cases where people pay prices that are just straight up f***ing stealing. If you're paying $1,000 for an item you know is worth $5,000, no one is going to defend you. Well, almost no one will defend you, there are exceptions. But what about when the situation is a bit murkier? How does the community decide what is and isn't a fair rate? Well, the way it gets decided is through Twitter drama. Oops, you're paying a price other traders think is too low? Shouldn't have put that in your bio. Here, have a bunch of nasty comments from other traders. Now, I don't know what this guy's buying at 81% buff. If it's StatTrak Battlescarred knives, then fair enough. If it's Bayonet Tiger Tooths, yeah, that's not so fair. But in any case, having your rates public like this is extremely stupid and just begging for this type of attention. So most traders don't do it. But that secrecy also allows people to get away with charging some slightly unorthodox prices, and in turn, when this stuff does come out, it leads to bigger and nastier dramas. For example, about 6 months ago, there was a major crunch in the availability of buff balance. Chinese players weren't depositing as much, resellers didn't have as much, and as a result, it started selling at a premium. How much of a premium? Well, in November 2021, a trader called Sinclair called out another trader called Mayazi for charging a 20% premium on buff balance. Now, this was not a Noble Kirito situation. Sinclair wasn't trying to take down a rival, he just didn't think the price Mayazi was charging was fair. And while not everyone saw a problem with this rate, quite a lot of people did, and it led to a broader discussion of buff rates by larger figures in the community, and at the end of it, a general consensus emerged that these rates weren't really considered fair. Obviously, not everyone agreed with that, but that was the broad sentiment. However, it also came with a ton of Twitter nastiness in the replies, with people calling Mayazi a clown, mocking his poor English, and also calling him a clown. Now, Twitter replies are never nice places, and this thread wasn't anything special in that regard, but you do have to look at it and wonder, is there a way this sort of stuff could be resolved without this kind of nastiness? And the answer is pretty simple, no. There is not. A lot of these issues could be easily fixed through transparency about who is charging what, but that's simply something that's never going to happen. Partly because revealing your rates is really stupid for most traders. You are begging for someone to use that to try and undercut you or call you a shark, and hell, traders sometimes even just make up imaginary rates that you don't pay to do callouts, so that problem's not going away. And in any case, trading is by its very nature pretty secretive anyway. There's no way to make it transparent. That's not how it works, and it's just not happening. But as a consequence, these types of Twitter callouts are not going away because there is no better alternative. But forget about callouts. Let's talk about shoutouts for a moment, because they're the final part of this cancerous mess that I want to look at. And when it comes to skin trading, a shoutout can be a very dangerous thing. If you're a major trader, one thing you are going to encounter is scammers who want to do deals with you so they can use that fact to scam other people. Often, they'll beg you for rep they haven't actually earned because they went first in the trade, and unless you're f***ing stupid, you're not going to give it to them. But even then, they'll still use the chat logs to lure in their victims. It's a major problem, and it's not going away. But while betas might try and strike deals with traders, alpha chats get public shoutouts from them. Like this guy, I Truly Sin, who got a public shout out from Zipple himself after he turned down an offer from some poor guy who didn't realize the true value of his M9 Emerald. Wow, he could have made an easy 7 grand from that trade, what a legend. I'm sure he won't take advantage of Zipple's charity for malicious ends. Insert maniacal laughter. Oh, I wasn't meant to read that. Anyway, fast forward 1 year, Zipple has deleted the original tweet and I Truly Sin has truly sinned by exit scamming apparently everybody he possibly could. One of his main targets was a guy called Storm Alclove. He managed to steal $1,200 of skins off this guy. Initially, he tried to claim that he couldn't pay because he'd hit his weekly spending limit, apparently because he bought a monitor. Well, don't buy a monitor when you owe someone money, you moron. But when he realized that excuse wasn't going to cut it, he used the good old-fashioned technique known as unfriending everybody and refusing to reply to any messages. And when you really delve into it, I Truly Sin really seems like the biggest piece of shit. I mean, looking at his DMs with his friend I Am Collier, not only did he allow his mate to vouch for him even though he knew he was pulling an exit scam, but it also seems like he literally tried to steal a butterfly marble fade from the guy while he was at it. Either way, it's an appalling way to treat someone you called a friend. And it also appears that he's mocking his victims, like he's literally put ha ha in his Steam name and at one point had a heap of salt shakers as his featured items. Now, naturally, people are questioning how real the original story of him turning down the trade for the M9 Emerald actually was. And look, I have no idea whether or not it's actually fake. I think it's reasonable to doubt it at this point, but I do not know for sure. But what I do know is that I Truly Sin used that story and that shout out to launch his trading career, and to this very day it is on his bio to serve as proof of his legitness. And this is kind of the final point that I wanted to make. So pervasive is the problem of clout chasing and scammers in the trading scene that if you're an established trader, it can be dangerous just to say something nice about someone. And again, no easy solution. The cancer is malignant and it's not reacting to chemo. But the truth is, this is simply the price the community pays because Valve has given us a free market. These problems exist because, unlike other games devs, Valve just lets us have our fun. So not only is there no solving these problems, it might be for the best that we don't. Anyway, that's pretty much it for me. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, massively appreciated. Otherwise, trust the numbers, not your guts. I'm Heyzeus. Thanks for watching. See ya.